It's the year 2026. A tier 1 pro, Heavy God, buys an MP7 on T-side. In that same round, he wins a fight against another pro, Magix, who also bought an MP7. We are living in unprecedented times, because if you didn't know, the MP7 and its silenced counterpart, the MP5, were both buffed in the most recent big CS2 update. Valve being Valve gave us some annoyingly vague descriptions of these buffs. For both the MP7 and the MP5, they slightly increase their damage, slightly reduce their damage falloff, and decrease their cost by $100. So we're going to look at what these buffs actually mean, how these guns are already being used in the pro scene, and what this means for the CS2 meta. Is the MP7 broken? We're going to figure it out right after a word from the sponsor of this video, SkinsMonkey. SkinsMonkey is a trusted automated CS2 trading site. It's super easy to use. All you have to do is pick something in your inventory, check how much it's worth, and then go get something new from the monkey. What's also super nice is the filters you can use to narrow down your searches. You can either use your skins to trade for new ones or deposit money with their 30% bonus offer. This becomes 35% when you use my code Wilson. Please use it. Using my code, you can also get up to $5 for free. Use my code Wilson, link is in the description. Thank you, Monkey. So what do these buffs actually mean for the MP7 and the MP5? Well, thanks to Sloth Squadron on Reddit, we can look at the real numbers. The MP7's base damage was increased from 29 to 30, and the MP5's damage was increased from 27 to 28. For both guns, the damage falloff was decreased from 15% to 13% at 500 units of distance. Here are some helpful graphs made by Sloth Squadron to give you a better idea of the difference in damage at range. The pre-update line is slightly steeper than the post-update line. This means that the difference in damage at range gradually increases between the two lines thanks to the reduction in damage falloff. Now that's still not super illustrative of the MP7's damage capability, so let's do a damage at range comparison between the MP7, the MP5, and the other SMGs in CS2. So I tested the max range each SMG could kill a head-armored player in just 2 headshots. Also, I forgot to test the PP Bison and it just doesn't feel worth it to go and test it now. I'm sorry, not really, it's bad. As you can see, the MP7 and the MP5 have the best damage at range compared to other SMGs, and they also are the most accurate SMGs in the game as well. I think now is a good time to talk about some MP7 and MP5 stats that haven't changed, but you might not know about because these guns just haven't been in the meta. The first thing is movement speed. You are actually slower with an MP7 than you are with either of the M4s. For reference, with your knife out, your movement speed is 250. The MP7 has a movement speed of 220. This is slightly faster than the AK and the Galil, which are both at 215, but slower than the M4s, which are at 225. The MP5 has a movement speed of 235, which is much more in line with the other SMGs. Another difference you might not know about between the MP7 and the MP5 is reload time. The MP5 has a slightly faster reload time than the MP7 at 2.94 seconds, whereas the MP7 has one of 3.13 seconds. When we're talking about SMGs, one major stat we have to look at is running and accuracy. The MP7 has a significantly better running and accuracy than the MP5. In fact, it is the second most accurate SMG while running, just behind the Mac 10. So all in all, I think the stats tell us one big important thing about the MP7. It is the most versatile SMG in the game. You don't need to be running someone down with it like a Mac 10, nor do you need to be wide swinging a close angle with it like an MP9 for it to be powerful. The MP7 is definitely at its best at close ranges. But thanks to its high damage, high accuracy for an SMG, and low damage drop-off, you're at much less of a disadvantage against rifles at medium range than you are with any other SMG. Okay, so there's a clear use case for the MP7, and because of that, I was curious about whether the pros will adopt this gun in their pro matches. And thankfully, a tier 1 tournament, IEM Krakow, occurred right after this update. So I collected data from all maps that occurred in the opening round of the tournament, being 18 maps total. I tracked how many times a player begun a round having an MP7 or MP5 along with other medium buy weapons like the Mac 10, the Galil, and the UMP on T side, along with the MP9, the FAMAS, and the UMP on CT side. Here's what I found. On T side, we didn't see a ton of MP7 or MP5 usage. Within 339 rounds played total, we only saw 11 MP7s and 3 MP5s. There were 61 MAC-10s within these rounds and a whopping 156 Galils. CT side is a different story. In 339 rounds, we saw 24 MP7s and 2 MP5s. For comparison, there were 102 MP9s and only 64 FAMASs. The majority of rounds with MP7s came from one team in particular, Team Spirit. Magix, amongst all players, seems to be the biggest MP7 believer. He uses the MP7 a ton. Another team that seems to be really embracing the MP7 is G2. They didn't use it much in their opening round match, but Mobs, Hunter, and Heavy God all seem to be giving the MP7 a whirl quite often in this tournament. Alternatively, other teams seem to have not reacted to the buffs at all. In the quarterfinals match between Furia and Aurora, not a single MP7 nor MP5 was purchased. Okay, so what does this say about the MP7? Honestly, not a whole lot. The pro meta is still adapting to these buffs, and time will tell how much of a role the MP7 has to play. However, I think that between the stats and the usage within pro play, we can finally answer the big question, is the MP7 broken? No. I don't think it's broken, but it will have a significant role in the meta. If we go back to the data, we can find a clear gap that the MP7 can fill. Do you remember how there were 156 instances of a player starting a round with a Galil? The Galil was by far the most popular medium-priced weapon, beating out the MP9 by almost 50. And that's because of a little-known fact that the Galil is insanely good. It has a fast fire rate, it has a huge clip of 35 bullets, it's incredibly versatile, and it's only $1,800. $1,800 for a gun that is comparable to the CT's M4s is insane. So because the Galil is so powerful, I don't think that the MP7 is going to have a big role on T side, seeing that it's only $400 less than the Galil. I think it will still have a role, don't get me wrong, especially in second round buys or in situations where a player wants like a more luxurious MAC-10, like this Mob's entry on Overpass, or Heavy God entering on B site in this round. However, when we look at CT side, this is where the MP7 is really going to shine. The CTs are blessed with the 5.7, which can one-tap head armored opponents at close ranges, and the MP9, which everybody knows is still insanely good. These weapons are excellent in close range, but the CTs really lack a more versatile gun in medium buy situations. The solution is typically the FAMAS, but the FAMAS kinda sucks. It only has 25 bullets, it has a super annoying spray pattern, it's really inaccurate for a rifle, and on top of all of that, it's $2,200. The MP7 is the perfect middle ground now for CTs. Yes, it's not as good as the FAMAS at longer ranges, but you typically don't want to be using a FAMAS at long range anyways. The MP7 is $800 cheaper, and you get $300 more per kill than you do with a FAMAS. Would you rather have an MP7, a smoke, an HE grenade, a flash, and $300 more per kill, or would you rather have a FAMAS? I'm taking the MP7 and the util and the kill reward all day. Team Spirit, in my opinion, have it figured out. Within all of their CT rounds in their best of 3 against G2, a player started a round with a FAMAS one singular time. This compared to 12 instances of a player starting a round with an MP7 on their CT side. And mind you, 2 of the 3 maps they played were Dust 2 and Overpass, 2 of the biggest maps in CS2 with the longest range angles. So I think that the MP7 is an indirect buff to the CT side. It fills a medium buy versatile gun void within the CT economy that is already being filled on the T side by the Galil. Use the MP7. It's an excellent gun, it's going to be part of the meta in my opinion, and it's worth getting used to. Let me know what you think about the MP7 in the comments. Are you going to be an MP7 believer and adapter? Thank you to my channel members for supporting me and allowing me to be a goober on the internet. I appreciate you guys. Have a great day and good luck and have fun in all of your future games. Like and subscribe. Goodbye.